I'm going to teach you the most powerful thing I have ever learned. It is not a strategy. It is not a secret. It is not a trick or a technique or a formula you can apply to get what you want from people. It is simpler than all of that, and harder than all of that, and more effective than anything I have seen in 70 years of watching human beings try to change their circumstances. Here it is. Focus on yourself and stay silent. That is the whole teaching. 6 words. And those 6 words, if you practice them honestly, will change everything in your life within months. Not because the world changes, because you change. And when you change, the world responds to the new version of you the way it has always responded to the old version, with whatever you are putting out. And for most of your life, what you have been putting out is noise, words, opinions, explanations, arguments, justifications, defenses, corrections, apologies, pleas. You have been broadcasting on every frequency available to you since the day you learned to speak. And the broadcasting has gotten you exactly what broadcasting gets anyone: attention, but not respect. Noise, but not peace. Reaction, but not change. Today I am going to tell you what happens when you turn the broadcast off. When you go quiet. When you pull your energy back from every person and every situation that has been consuming it and redirect it toward the one person who actually deserves it. You. My grandmother was the quietest person I have ever known. Not shy. Not timid, not afraid to speak. Quiet in the way that a lake is quiet, still on the surface, deep underneath. And because she was quiet, people projected onto her whatever they needed to see. They thought she agreed with them because she didn't argue. They thought she was on their side because she didn't oppose. They thought she was simple because she didn't perform complexity. And she let them think all of those things, because she understood something that took me 50 years to learn. Silence is not the absence of power. Silence is the accumulation of it. Every word you don't say is energy you keep. Every argument you don't enter is peace you preserve. Every explanation you don't give is dignity you retain. The quiet person is not losing the conversation. The quiet person is winning a war that the loud person doesn't know is being fought. A war of preservation, of self-protection, of energy directed inward instead of outward. And the person who directs their energy inward, consistently, silently, without announcement, becomes something that the loud person never becomes: full. The loud person empties themselves into every room they enter. The quiet person fills themselves in every room they leave. I want to tell you why this is so hard. Because knowing it and doing it are different experiences separated by a canyon that most people never cross. You know you should be quiet. You know you should stop explaining yourself. You know you should stop defending your choices to people who have no authority over your life. You know all of that. But the moment someone says something that is wrong about you, the words leap out of your mouth before your brain can catch them. The moment someone disrespects you, the defense fires automatically. The moment someone misunderstands you, the explanation begins. It is reflexive. It is automatic. It has been your operating system for 60 years. And changing an operating system that has been running for 60 years is not a weekend project. It is the hardest thing you will ever do. Because you are fighting your own wiring. You are fighting the part of you that was taught from childhood that silence means agreement. That silence means weakness. That silence means the other person wins. None of those things are true, but they feel true. And feelings, especially feelings that were installed in childhood, have the strength of concrete. The first thing that changes when you focus on yourself and stay silent is that you stop being available for other people's drama. Right now, today, you are on the roster for every crisis that happens in the lives of the people around you. Your phone rings, and it is someone else's problem. Your door knocks, and it is someone else's emergency. Your evening is interrupted by someone else's argument. Your peace is invaded by someone else's chaos, and you accept it. Every time. Because you are available. Your availability is advertised by your responsiveness. Every time you picked up the phone, you confirmed the ad. Every time you gave advice that nobody followed, you confirmed the ad. Every time you absorbed someone else's emotional hurricane and sat alone afterward in the debris, you confirmed the ad. When you go silent, the ad comes down, and the people who were responding to the ad have nothing to respond to. And this is where the discomfort begins. Because the people who are used to your availability will interpret your silence as something wrong. What happened to you? Why aren't you calling? Are you angry? Are you sick? Did I do something? And the temptation to explain, to reassure, to say, no, I'm fine, I'm just focusing on myself, will be enormous. Don't explain. This is the hardest part. The explaining is the old operating system trying to reboot. The explaining is the broadcast tower trying to turn itself back on. Don't let it. Because the moment you explain your silence, you have broken the silence. And the person you explained it to now has a new tool. They know that guilt works. They know that the question, "Are you okay?" is the key that unlocks your door. And they will use that key every time you try to close the door again. Don't give them the key. Be silent about your silence. Let them wonder. Let them project. Let them assume whatever they need to assume. Because what they assume is their business. What you are building in the quiet is yours. I knew a man who did this at 64. After decades of being the family problem solver, the financial rescuer, the one everyone called when the sky was falling, he went quiet. Not dramatically. He didn't announce it. He didn't have a conversation about boundaries. He just stopped initiating, stopped calling, stopped offering, stopped volunteering his time and his money and his emotional labor. He focused on himself. He started walking every morning. He started reading books he had been meaning to read for 30 years. He started sitting on his porch and watching the birds and feeling something he hadn't felt since he was a child. Stillness. And within 3 weeks, his phone started ringing with concern. Not concern for him, concern that the supply had been interrupted. His daughter called and said, "You haven't sent the check this month. Is everything okay?" His brother called and said, "You didn't call on Sunday. Are you upset about something?" His neighbor called and said, "My fence still needs fixing. Are you going to come by?" Every call was dressed as concern. Every call was actually a withdrawal attempt from an account he had closed. And the man did something he had never done in his life. He let the calls go to voicemail. And he sat on his porch, and he watched the birds, and the sky did not fall. That is what I want you to understand. The sky does not fall when you go silent. The sky has never been held up by your noise. The sky holds itself. And the people who told you it would fall without your constant effort were the people who benefited from your constant effort. They needed you to believe the sky was falling so you would keep holding it up. And the holding was never about the sky. It was about them. They were standing underneath your effort, comfortable in your shade, benefiting from your labor. And the moment you step away, the moment you stop holding what was never yours to hold, they have to stand in their own sun. And standing in your own sun is uncomfortable when you have been living in someone else's shade for decades. Before I share the next teaching, I need to tell you something. I am not going to be here forever, and most of what I know was never written anywhere. So I sat down and I wrote it, all of it. 20 teachings, 4 parts, in the order they were meant to be received. The ones about redirecting your power back to where it belongs. The ones about the quiet strength that changes everything. The ones I have never said on camera. It is called the native way, and it costs less than one dinner you will not remember. Scan the code on your screen or look in the comments. But do not leave yet, because what I am about to share next is what actually happens to the people around you when you go silent. And it is not what you expect. When you go silent, when you stop answering every call and solving every crisis and absorbing every storm, something remarkable happens. The people who were using you as their emotional landfill are forced to deal with their own waste for the first time. And some of them will rise to it. They will discover to their own surprise that they are capable of handling their problems without you, that they were never as helpless as they behaved, that the helplessness was a performance calibrated to your availability. Remove the availability, and the performance has no audience. And without an audience, the performance stops. And what is left is a person who can actually handle their own life. You were not helping them by being available. You were enabling them by never letting them fail. Your silence gives them the one thing your presence never could, the opportunity to discover their own strength. And some of them will hate you for it, because discovering your own strength is harder than borrowing someone else's. And the ones who hate you for it are the ones who were never in your life for the right reasons. The second thing that changes when you focus on yourself and stay silent is that your energy comes back. Not slowly, rapidly. You will feel it within weeks, because the energy you have been pouring into other people's lives has been the largest expenditure in your personal budget for decades. More than work, more than worry, more than anything else you do. The amount of energy you spend thinking about other people's problems, preparing for other people's needs, anticipating other people's reactions, managing other people's emotions, that amount is staggering. And you have been spending it so long that you don't even notice it leaving. The way you don't notice your electricity bill until someone turns everything off and the meter stops. When you go silent and pull your focus inward, the meter stops. And the savings are immediate. You sleep better because you are not lying awake processing someone else's crisis. You think more clearly because your brain is not occupied by someone else's decisions. You feel lighter because your body is not carrying someone else's emotional weight. The energy doesn't need to be created. It just needs to stop being given away. And the moment it stops leaving, it starts accumulating. And accumulated energy feels like being alive in a way you haven't felt in years, maybe decades. I want you to understand what this energy actually feels like when it returns. Because you have been running on empty for so long that you have forgotten what full feels like. Full feels like waking up in the morning and not dreading the day. Full feels like sitting in a chair and not needing to be anywhere or do anything for anyone, and feeling peace instead of guilt about the peace. Full feels like having a thought that is entirely your own, not a response to someone else's crisis, not a solution to someone else's problem, just your thought about your life for your benefit. That feeling, the feeling of a mind that belongs to you instead of being rented by everyone around you, is what the silence returns to you. It is not a new feeling. It is an old one you had as a child before the world taught you that your value was measured by how much of yourself you gave away. The silence takes you back to the version of you that existed before the giving started. And that version is still in there, waiting, under decades of other people's needs, still alive, still you. The third thing that changes is that the right people get closer and the wrong people fall away. This is the most important change on this list. Silence is a filter. It separates the people who are in your life because they value you from the people who are in your life because they use you. The users will notice your silence immediately. They will feel the supply being cut off the way an addict feels the supply being cut off. And they will respond in one of two ways. They will either escalate, calling more, demanding more, guilt-tripping more, trying to pull you back into the position of provider. Or they will disappear, quietly, without explanation. The way a customer leaves a store that is closed. They will walk to the next open door, and you will watch them go. And the going will hurt. But the hurt will be clean, not the dirty hurt of being used, the clean hurt of losing something that was never what you thought it was. And the people who remain, the ones who don't escalate and don't disappear, the ones who notice your silence and say, "Are you okay?" Not, "What can you do for me?" "Are you okay?" Those people are your real people. Those people were there for you, not for your services. And your silence revealed them the way a drought reveals which trees have deep roots and which ones were just standing because the soil was wet. The drought came, the shallow roots died, the deep roots stayed, and now you know which is which. And that knowing, however painful the sorting process was, is one of the most valuable things you will ever receive. Because from this day forward, every ounce of energy you give will go to the right people, not the loudest people, not the most demanding people, the right people, the deep roots, the ones who stayed when the silence fell. The fourth thing that changes is that you begin to hear yourself, for the first time in possibly your entire life, because the noise you have been generating and the noise you have been absorbing have been so constant and so loud that the one voice you have never heard clearly is your own. Not your reactive voice, not the voice that argues and defends and explains, your real voice, the one that knows what it wants, the one that knows what it needs, the one that has been trying to tell you something for years but could never get a word in because the room was too full and the volume was too high. In the silence, that voice surfaces, slowly at first, like a whisper underneath a shout, and then louder, clearer, until one morning you wake up and you know something, not because someone told you, because you heard yourself say it in the quiet. I want this. I don't want that. This person is good for me. That person is not. This life is mine. That life was borrowed. The clarity that silence produces is not available any other way. You cannot think your way to clarity in a noisy room. You can only hear your way to it in a quiet one. I want to tell you what I heard when I finally went quiet, because I practiced this myself. After years of being the person everyone came to, the person who gave and broadcasted on every frequency, I went silent. And the first week was agony. The silence was not peaceful. It was loud, louder than any room I had ever been in, because the noise had been covering things, feelings I hadn't felt in years, thoughts I had been avoiding, questions I had been too busy to ask. The silence uncovered all of it at once, like pulling a blanket off a pile of things you shoved into a corner and forgot about. The pile was large and messy, and some of the things in it were painful, but they were mine, my feelings, my thoughts, my questions, not my daughter's, not my neighbor's, not my community's, mine. And sitting with that pile, sorting through it, handling each piece one at a time, was the most honest work I had done in decades. I discovered things I wanted that I had never admitted to myself. I discovered resentments I had been carrying that I had never acknowledged. I discovered a grief that I had never properly processed because I was too busy processing everyone else's grief to attend to my own. The silence didn't just give me clarity. The silence gave me back my own interior life, the one I had rented out to everyone else for so long that I forgot it was mine. And here's what nobody tells you about going quiet and focusing on yourself. People will call it selfish. They will. The people who benefited from your noise will be the first to label your silence as selfishness, because your silence interrupted their supply. And rather than examine their own dependency, they will name your healing as a character flaw. Let them. Let them call it selfish. Let them call it cold. Let them call it whatever they need to call it to avoid facing the fact that they were living off your energy and the energy has been redirected. Their labels are not your concern. Their comfort is not your responsibility. Your responsibility, the one responsibility that has been neglected while you were busy fulfilling everyone else's, is to yourself. And that responsibility, finally honored, finally prioritized, finally given the attention it has been starving for, will produce a version of you that is so grounded, so clear, so full of the energy you used to give away, that the people who matter will notice. They will say, "Something is different about you." And you will smile, and you will not explain. Because the explaining is over, the broadcasting is off, the tower is dark. And the silence, which scared you at first, has become the safest place you have ever lived. My grandmother said silence is the room where you finally meet yourself. She said most people spend their entire life in a house full of guests and never once visit the room in the back where the owner lives. The owner is you, the real you, the one who was there before the guests arrived and will be there after they leave. But you have been so busy hosting, so busy serving, so busy making sure everyone else is comfortable, that you have never once walked to the back of the house and opened the door and said hello to the person who actually owns the place. Silence is the walk to the back of the house. Silence is the opening of the door. And what you find in that room, the person sitting quietly in the chair that nobody ever sat in, is the most important person you will ever meet. Because that person has been waiting for you, patiently, for decades, through all the noise and all the hosting and all the serving, just sitting, just waiting, just knowing that eventually, when you got tired enough of everyone else, you would finally come home to yourself. Go home, focus on yourself, stay silent, and watch what happens, not to the world, to you. Because you are the only thing that ever needed to change, and you are the only person who has been waiting for you to finally show up. If what you heard today stayed with you, the book is there. The Native Way, 20 teachings, 100 pages, written the way I would speak to you if we were sitting together. Scan the QR code on the screen with your phone or find the link in the comments. Read one chapter, sit with it. Now I want to hear from you. Tell me in the comments, what happened the last time you went quiet and focused on yourself? I read every comment. And if this is the kind of conversation you have been looking for, subscribe to this channel. We are not collecting viewers here. We are collecting people who remember. Come back next week. I am not done teaching yet.